Hey everybody, this is Peter. Welcome to Cooking with Peter. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of the easiest and best tasting pizza doughs you've ever made. Once you learn to do this, and it's super easy to do, you will stop ordering pizza takeout and just do it at home. And with these upcoming tariffs we have, we might just need this even more. Let me show you how to do it. Let's get started. All right, my friends, I want to share with you that today is about the 2nd of February, 2025. We just went over 2,000 subscribers to the channel. I want to say thank you very much. I had no idea we would ever have this many people interested in what I'm doing, so I just want to say thank you very much. We've also had about 150,000 views of the videos that I've shot, so thank you again. I take none of it for granted, so thank you very, very much. All right, today I'm going to show you how to do a no-knead pizza dough. Now I have updated this recipe a little bit, not much because the other one was on target, but I'm going to show you a little bit different ways to do this, and it makes it go a lot faster as far as the proof time. So let me show you what we're going to be doing today. If you have a bowl that is okay for the microwave, such as this one, this is a stoneware bowl, or if you have a glass bowl, go ahead and put that in the microwave for about 2 minutes, as I have already. And that's going to make the bowl warm. That's going to be important, especially on cold days. Now, we happen to have a very nice day here today, but I went ahead and warmed the bowl up in the microwave. Here we have the ingredients. We have 14 ounces of cool water. This is just tap water. It doesn't need to be hot, doesn't need to be warm, just right out of the tap is fine. Pour that in here. Next, we're going to be needing 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. This is the change, is the amount of yeast that's used. Now in traditional no-knead bread dough of any type, you typically put 1/4 teaspoon of yeast into the mixture and then you let it sit overnight. However, I don't have time to do that sometimes. Sometimes I'm going to knead that pizza dough in 1.5 hours. So that's where this quantity of yeast comes in. So I'm going to be using 1.5 teaspoons of rapid rise yeast. That's going to go into the bowl. Next, I'm going to be putting in about 1 teaspoon or so of Italian seasonings. Use any type of Italian seasonings you like. Just make sure they're nice and fragrant and they smell good. All right, that's going to be a flavoring agent. Next, we're going to be putting in about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm just using regular table salt. A viewer of mine asked the question today, as a matter of fact. He said he's heard that salt kills yeast. I have heard that for years. However, I've never, ever had that experience. I add the yeast, the salt, the seasonings right into the mixture right from the beginning. I've never, ever had an issue. So let's put in that 1.5 teaspoons of salt. The one thing you do always want to check is the date on the yeast. Always make sure the date that you buy the yeast is about 6 months to a year prior to the yeast expiring. That's going to be super important. So you're going to see back here, this has a date. This one happens to be November 2025. Well, that's about 9 months from now. So this is the yeast that I would use. 6 months to a year before it will expire. That's what I'm looking for. I have found that yeast always dies way before that end date on that package. So always check the package. Now I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon or so, I don't measure it, of good quality olive oil. You've heard me preach about good quality olive oil. I'm going to preach it again right here. Good quality olive oil. Use that in this because it is a flavoring ingredient. Now we're just going to use a whisk, and we're going to whisk all of these ingredients together, the water, the seasonings, the yeast, the oil, and mix it all up. Now, I'm going to be putting in 3.5 cups of flour. Sometimes you'll hear people say, hey, you got to use 00 flour, you got to buy this particular brand, this particular brand. Listen, I'm not running an Italian pizza company. I am an American man and I am making pizza for my American family. All right, so I'm using AP flour. One of my great friends, I asked him, hey, Leonard, what's with AP flour, bread flour, double O flour? And he says, do you really think that our grandparents knew what double O flour was and bread flour? No, they always just used AP flour. And guess what? His family is from Italy. So, just saying, I'm using AP flour today, all-purpose flour. So we need about 3.5 cups. I'll be putting those into the bowl. That's number 1. We have number 2. Now we have number 3. And I'm just going to scoop in about a half. As you can see, it's about a half. It does not need to be exact. So I'll close up the flour for now. We're going to come back to that in just a few minutes. Now I'm going to use a spatula. So, as you've seen on my other no knead videos recently, no knead bread videos recently, use this end of the spatula at first. We'll use this end in a few minutes. Use this end because this is going to be coming and using like your mixer would be going around your bowl, like the hook, you know, the bread dough hook. So that's what this will do. So let's just move it around, and we're just trying to incorporate all of that flour into the wet mixture. Let's move it around till it all gets nice and hydrated. That's looking good. Very good, actually. All right, now I'm just going to scoop this off. Now I'm going to switch gears and go to this side of the spatula. I'm just going to come around the side with this edge of the spatula and get all the stuff that's on the wall of the bowl back into the dough. Now, remember, you want to lift from the bottom and push down. All right? Spin the bowl, lift up, push down. All we're doing is making sure that all of those things get incorporated. All right? Lift up from the bottom, push down. Do that about 5 or 6 times, and you will be good to go. All right? Now, move the dough around so that it's in a bit of a shaggy ball. You're going to think, oh my God, this dough has so much water into it. This is a very high hydration dough. It's about a 70% hydration dough. Most no knead breads are. So I've got all this put together. This is going to take about an hour and a half to proof. So lucky you, about an hour and a half ago, I made another one of these. So I'm not going to keep you waiting here for an hour and a half. Let me put this one back in the back, get the other one. I'll bring it up, wash my hands, just so that I can get it messy again in a couple of minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, this is the dough that I made about an hour and a half ago. So it's ready. You can see that it's proofed nicely. That's come together in about an hour and a half's time. Super fast. So imagine getting home from work, wanting to make pizza, getting it ready. You can have this dough ready in about an hour and 30 minutes. So it's a lot cheaper than calling Domino's or even frozen pizza, quite frankly. I saw some frozen pizzas the other day for like $9 each. I'm like, yeah, no. I can do that at home a lot easier and it tastes better. This dough will make about 2 14-inch pizzas. Now, I don't want to make pizzas that big. The oven that I'm going to use is my outdoor pizza oven, and the pizza stone is about 12 inches square. So I'm going to be making 3 10-inch pizzas. Now remember, today I'm showing you how to do the pizza dough. In my very next video, I'm going to be showing you how to make some of the best pizza you can make at home using one of these outdoor pizza ovens. That's the very next video, so be watching for that. Today it's just about making the dough, okay? Took my ring off so I don't get it all messed up. Now we're going to use this end of the spatula to move the dough around again, and this is referred to as a degas and stretch. So we're just going to pull this in and just pull it up like this, push it around, and we're just trying to get some of the air out, called degas and stretch, okay? Now, I'm going to pull up my trusty scale, and I want these pizzas to be about, or the dough anyway, to be about 270, 280 grams. So I'm going to set this over to grams. There we go. Set it to tare, so we have 0. So that I don't make a big mess, I'm going to put a piece of plastic wrap over the scale because this is going to be very sticky. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to put some flour here on parchment paper. Now I laid out here 4 sheets of parchment paper. I'm going to be putting the dough, each one, onto its own piece of parchment paper. And now I'm going to put some flour here on the dough itself. I'll also put a little flour here. So now we have 242. I want this to be about 275 to 280. That's too much. Cut that about in half. And we're at 268. To be honest, if you weren't watching, that's where I would leave it. 276, close enough. All right. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just simply trying to move this dough into a bit of a circle. And then I'll put a little more flour here because I feel it being sticky. Just trying to move it to be a bit of a circle. I'm going to throw this in the flour. And now I'm going to put this here. 289. That's pretty much okay for me. 284. 278. Okay, very good. So now I'm just going to put some more flour on this. And again, I'm just trying to move it to the shape of a kind of a round piece, like you make for a pizza. All right, you can see what I'm doing right here. All right, floured surface, set it down. All right, now we're on to the next one. Now this one feels a little heavier. So let me move this so I can see what's going on. There we go. Tear that. Okay, now let's see what this says. 372. All right, so I need to take quite a bit of this off. Boy, 272. Put a little bit back on, not much. Perfect, 281. That'll work for me. So that's done. Those 3 discs of dough are almost ready. Let me clean this up a little bit. I'm going to come back and show you the end result of making this great pizza dough and how fast it came together. I'll be right back. All right, I've got my area cleaned up a little bit, and I laid out here 3 pieces of parchment paper. The parchment paper is a really good idea for getting your pizza onto your pizza peel very easily. However, this depends upon what temperature you're going to be cooking your pizza at. For example, if you're going to be doing like I'm doing today and cooking at a very high temperature of like 700 degrees, you don't want to put parchment paper in that super hot oven. So don't use parchment paper if you're going over 450 on your cook. You can use the parchment paper to slide the pizza onto your stone, but don't leave it there, all right? Because I guess some chemicals come off the parchment paper. That's what I've heard. To be honest, I've just heard that. I haven't checked into it, but I think I read that online too. All right, so we have the 3 pizza disc. I'm going to just use my little roller like this. You would use for like this or for pie dough. And I'm just going to be stretching this out. Again, folks, I'm not a pizzeria guy. I'm just trying to get pizza onto a plate as quickly as I can. And this pizza dough is truly delicious. So I'm looking for a roundish circle of around 10 inches. All right, got my trusty ruler here. Let me see where I'm at right now. So I'm at 9 here, and I'm at 9 here. So I've got about 1 more inch to go all the way around. So let's just push it out a little bit. You can see how easy it is to move the dough around if you have it on parchment paper, right? I feel this side's a little thick, so I'll flatten that out a little more. Close enough for me. We're at 9.5 and we're at 10. Fine for me, all right? So this is how you do it as far as I'm concerned. You don't want to go ahead and make up the pizzas now, because if you're not putting the pizzas in the oven right away, the pizza dough is going to get soggy and it's going to be a mess. But I'm going to show you one more of how I get it push out to that 10 inches, thereabout. Start off with a round disc. That makes it a little easier. Again, this is one of the reasons why we don't worry about the flour measurements being exact, because you're going to be adding flour as you go. As I said before, I watched the guys in Italy many times in many places, and they are dumping that dough in that big vat of flour all the time, making sure that it doesn't stick much more. By the way, if you find that your dough wants to spring back, if you just let the dough sit there and relax for about 4 or 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes the most, it'll be completely relaxed and you'll be able to get it out to the diameter that you want. All right, I'll check it again. 10 and 10. Perfect, there we go. All right, I have one more to go. I'm not gonna bore you with that. You've seen exactly how I've made the dough. You've seen how I got it here onto the parchment paper, because the parchment paper makes it super easy to work with. And if you'll make this dough, I promise you, you will no longer order pizzas out, and your family will love you for it. I want to thank you for watching this video on how to make no knead pizza dough quickly. The very next video I'm going to be making is making pizzas out of this dough. So you want to watch that video. It's coming out in just a few days. So thanks again for watching. By the way, if you have not subscribed already, please do so. And also I invite you, if you want to, buy me a coffee. The link's down below. If you're getting anything out of this, I would appreciate your support, and you can click on that link to buy me a coffee. We like to go to Starbucks occasionally, so do that. All right, thanks again for watching. Thanks again to our subscribers, and thanks again to our supporters. I really appreciate it. See you next time. Make this, you'll love it.